Hi, good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Or good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to my live stream where I do my best to, answer your questions about Olympus cameras or workspace or photography in general, and also just catch up on what's been going on, in photography and with you guys, and as well as for myself. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let's see. I forgot my microphone. There's always some technical issue in the morning. Oh, it today. Hopefully everybody can hear me now. But today I turned the camera on and battery was dead. So I'm like, oh man, it would take too long to try to set up another camera on the tripod here. I mean, not that long, but to kind of get the polish that I spent all this time working on, it would take some time. So I had to run out to the car and get my other camera bag that had couple of freshly charged batteries in it, because I have a photo job today, and I packed everything yesterday to get ready and put it in my car, so I'm ready to go. And then yeah, I get up this morning and this camera uses the same batteries. Oh, anyhow, let me pull up the chat window so I can see it, because I put it up on the screen over here for everyone to watch. You know, that like to watch after the stream's over, and but it's hard for me to see it because it's here, but the print's too small. Got to be a way around that. But let's see who's come in. Let's see. We have Jay Sones. Hi, can you tell me how to take stills whilst recording video on the EM10 III? I don't have the EM10 Mark III, so I don't know. Usually on the like on the EM10 Mark II, you can choose a mode where while you're recording video, you can push the shutter button and it'll take a picture for you. And there's two different modes. One is where it'll take a still from the video itself, and I believe in that mode it won't stop recording, but it'll record the still, but it'll just be a snapshot from the video itself in whatever resolution you're shooting at. And then in mode 2, it'll actually stop the video, take a raw image if you so choose, and then restart the video after the picture is, recorded to the memory card. But I don't know if on the EM10 Mark III, if they kept that feature. I don't believe they did, so there's not really a way to do that if it's anything like the other Mark IIIs. Like the EM1 Mark III, you can't do that. EM1 Mark II, you cannot do that. They took those features away. EM5 Mark III, you cannot do that, whereas you could on the EM5 Mark II. So unfortunately, I don't think on the EM10 Mark III you can do that. But if you can, if there is an option to do it, it would be in, let me see. No, it's not that one. It's called, it would be in the I menu for movie. It would be in the movie menu, and it's called movie plus photo mode. And there's a mode 1 and a mode 2. I wish you could see this. So I don't know if the EM10 Mark III has this feature or not. Let me see if I can pull it up. Oops. So it'd be, it's grayed out right now, but it would be mode 1 here in the movie menu. But I don't have an EM10 Mark III to actually show you directly. Okay, let's see. Good afternoon, Roberto. Good to see you. John follows the Marked Wolf, my unofficial nephew. He's always calling me Uncle Rob. And the mute collector. Oh, that's interesting. Let's see. Beryl, Tetsu, Namba, good to see you. And let's see. We have Quinn and Million Dollarist. Thomas Izauskas. Hopefully I pronounced that right. John Painter, Brian, Marco, David Crooks. Oh, sorry, I'm at Tiny Rob, right? Yeah, there we go. And let's see, it's noon in Wales. What time is your time? It's 7:14 a.m. I'm so sorry for starting late. It's kind of my trademark now, right? Start late and then have no sound. It seems like after this is actually, I think, technically episode 100 of my live streaming. So I've done 100 live streams since I started about 10 months ago, back in October, I think, of last year. Boy, that's a lot of streams on top of almost 40 live video editing live streams, on top of the guest live streams that I go on. So speaking of which, I'm going to be a guest tomorrow morning on Peter Forsgaard's live stream. I'm going to confirm that today, but right now we're set up tentatively to start tomorrow morning my time at 8 a.m. So about an hour after this one started today with Peter Forsgaard. So that'll be fun. I always enjoy being a guest on other people's channels because it's such an honor for me, or a privilege, I guess. I don't know how to say it, but I'm always very flattered by when people ask me to go on their live streams. So, because I'm just a guy with a camera, right? And I do my best to help people, but at the same time, these other channels, I watch them, I subscribe to them, and I learn from them as well, right? So it's always very flattering when they ask if I can come on and talk about my experience. I'm looking forward to that. Excuse me. Oh, thanks, Daryl and David and Beryl and Jeff. Yeah, 100 episodes. Oh, I got it spot on. That's good. Hopefully I can remember that, because every time I see it, I see like 5 different pronunciations. I just kind of just whatever one comes out of my mouth might be kind of random, but thankfully I got it right this morning. So yeah, I've been doing some photo jobs this week, so it always helps to have a little extra pocket change, right? I don't make a lot off photography, but it is really, between YouTube and this, is really my only source of income. I mean, the photography makes a little more, but not a lot more. And YouTube doesn't pay much at all. But it says, Frank says, Rob, love your photo walks. When I bought my EM10 Mark II, I watched you to set my camera up and followed you ever since. Oh, thanks. Yeah, hopefully you've been able to expand since then, right? Maybe into using Flash. Flash might be your next step if you haven't started that yet. I have a handful of videos on using Flash with the M10 Mark II, but it really works with any camera. And I'd like to do more videos on Flash, because that really is the biggest way to expand your photography and really get beautiful images, because Flash allows you to control the light, and it's also a very high quality light, unlike the lighting I use for video here. The flash photography gives you very, very high quality light, and it's similar to almost like sunlight, right? Which is the very best quality light, giving you the best color and clarity and contrast and everything is normal sunlight. Flash is really the next best thing, and that's why when you look at lighting for video, they have all these different measurements like CRI and there's some other index they have a couple of different indexes for video lighting to try to sell their product as being very highly accurate when it comes to colors, and that's because they're trying to replicate actual sunlight. Sure, you can turn the color temperature to different temperatures, but like golden hour temperatures, right, are like 3300K. Normal daylight's 5600, give or take, depending on the light. But that accuracy of color and temperature is what makes video look good. And the same applies to photography. When you're using a flash, the flash is normally the highest quality light you can use when you do photography. And you can do flash in broad daylight. Of course, most people think about using flash at night, but even in broad daylight with a little bit of technique, you can use flash in broad daylight to really improve your photography. And that's why there's a lot of tutorials online about high-speed sync, or maybe using ND filters to overpower the sun so that you can kind of get that high dynamic range picture within a single shot using a flash. The things I haven't really, I have a couple videos on that, but I didn't really go into depth about it. I just kind of showed you a couple of shots. But definitely, I think if anyone wants to expand their photography and really improve their photography, flash is really the next step. For most, if you're a sports action person, flash has some use, but it's more limited, right? Okay, $1 million says, hi Rob, a novice Q. In workspace, how can we hide an object in the sky? You have to use the paintbrush tool, or the clone tool. What do they call it in workspace? I forget. I'll pull it up for you. Let's see. I pull up a picture that has some sky. No, not that one. In this folder. I have to be careful what folders I open. Oh, let's see. Let's not go to the pictures folder. Let's try a Lightroom folder. I did a photo walk yesterday with my dog, mainly just to walk my dog. I don't think I have any sky shots there. Oh, there's one here. It sucks, but let's see. This button. No, this one. No. What is this button? Hold on. So if there was something here in the sky, you would go to this tool. Let me turn this off. This tool here, they call it the clone stamp tool. So you click on that one, and oops, gosh darn it, you're not seeing this. Hold on. There we go. So this tool right here, clone stamp tool, and then just below that you choose a brush size. So I like to start. Stop it. I like to start. This clone stamp tool, I like to start somewhere in the middle, and then I do as much blur as I can, opacity 100. And then what I can do is, let's say I want to get rid of this little buoy or basketball, whatever's in here. I can just pick a spot over here and then just brush it like this. And then it goes away, just like that. So that's how you do that in workspace. And then Frank says, I watched your flash and bought the oh good, you bought the Godox TT350 most likely and did some flowers with black background. Yeah, it's not hard, right, once you know how. And then Esteenmit says, I've tried the camera HDR on my OM1 Mark III and really like it, but can't find any EXIF data in Lightroom Classic to tell which shots have used it. Does camera record it? It does record it, but Lightroom doesn't have the doesn't read that part of the EXIF data. You have to use Olympus Workspace, and it'll tell you that it's a HDR shot. Gosh, have I done any HDR shots? Let me look. But yeah, not in Lightroom, as far as I know. It doesn't look at that part of the EXIF data to tell you if it's an HDR shot. Oh, thanks, John. Happy 100. Thank you. Oh, you spent hours trying to use that? Yeah, it's not hard. If you watch my live stream editing that I usually do right after this one, I use that time to time, that particular feature. It sucks, but it in a pinch it'll get you through for simple things like that little buoy that was in the water, or little spots in the sky, or little branches. It works, somewhat, right? And Frank says, thanks and happy 100 and keep going. We all look forward. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I wasn't sure how the live streams would pan out uh, for my channel. And for the most part, breaking it into two pieces between uh, doing the photo editing and the live streaming seemed to work out. Like, just have a photo chat live stream and a separate one for photo editing, because a lot of people, they didn't want to hang out for 3 hours and watch me photo edit. So I broke it up so some people can come in later and just do the photo editing part, and some can stay in just the photo chat part. And then as far as my channel goes, it's really gave me a chance to connect with you all in a way that you can't do with just commenting back and forth or through a forum. This is almost as good as a phone call, like talking to everybody, but not quite, right? Not like a Zoom conference call or something. It's a kind of a happy median where I can read the chat section, but then I can reply to you in real time, which is what I like the most, rather than just typing something. Now, the thing with typing in comment sections and responding is I can take my time and think about the answer before I open my mouth. So that's a huge benefit of the comment section, right? Is you can reply when you're ready. Whereas in a live stream, wow, whatever's in your head just comes out. So you have to be on, which, wow, yeah, I need some more coffee. I woke up about a little after 6 o'clock, about an hour before the stream, but I don't know. Anyhow, I still started late. I don't know why. It's just a bad habit, I guess, at this point. It's not even, I really shouldn't have any excuses. And Deb, oh, hi, Deb. Good morning. Happy 100. Just a quick visit from me and a question. Will my EM5 Mark II be okay with a 40-150 Pro and a 1.4? Yeah, you have no problem at all. I mean, it's going to be just always be sure to hold the camera or the lens with your left hand and shoot with your right. But it's important you hold the camera by the lens itself, the lens barrel, and not hold the camera with the grip or by the grip on the camera, because you can work the lens mount loose because of the weight of the lens, the torques that it puts onto the front of the camera. So always hold, the lens by the barrel, and then the only thing your right hand has to do is hit some of the buttons, the shutter button, or make adjustments in the menu, and you'll be fine. But be very conscious of, when you're using small cameras like Olympus or Micro Four Thirds or any small camera, I don't care if it's the new Panasonic S5 that came out or the Nikon Z5, you always want to hold cameras generally with your left hand, and as the lenses get larger, hold the barrel of the lens with your left hand. Because the torque and everything that can be applied, because we've all heard the story about people breaking their tripod mount on their cameras. Not just the Olympus plastic ones, but any brand camera. People have stripped the threads, they've broken the lens mount off, all kinds of things. Especially when you're traveling, it's always good to take the lens off of the camera when it's in the bag, because the bag can slide off your car seat and break the lens mount right off, right? Or you can drop your bag by accident or set it down too hard because you can't see how the camera is in the bag at any particular. Well, anyway, you get the idea, right? Just be careful with large lenses on your camera. And let's see, we have Robin Wong. Oh my goodness. Hi, Robin. How are you? That's awesome. Welcome, everyone. Robin Wong is here. He has his own YouTube channel, if you didn't know already. And he has a terrific channel and does terrific videos on Olympus cameras and photography. And he's really good macro photographer too. Much better than I am, obviously, because he does a good job with that. So check out his channel for anything photography related, especially Olympus. And then if you still don't get it, then you can come to my channel, right, and watch anything I might have on the subject. But I'd recommend you go to Robin's or Peter's, first, or even Jimmy Chang, right? Hopefully he'll be back to producing some videos. I saw a vlog last week on his wedding video, which was really fun to watch. It was good to see. He was so happy in that video, right? But I always call Robin the happiest photographer on earth, because every video he's smiling, which is awesome. Helen says, hi Rob, I'm on my mom's account, but I'm at dad's. My dad is Frank Rudman, and I know how much he loves your streams and how much he has learned from you. Oh, wow, thank you, Helen. I think he's mentioned you. It's time to time my viewers will mention, oh, I got my daughter into photography and I refer to your channel. That's awesome. Thanks for joining me today. Say hi to your dad. If he might even be here. How was your breakfast soup today? I didn't have any soup. I need to get some coffee. This is just water. I didn't have time to brew coffee. This is just water. Okay, and hi Robin, happy vacation. What, Robin's on vacation? Or do you, I know some people call it, I went on holiday. A little different than we say here in the US. We say vacation more so than holiday. And if I used the 400mm lens yet? No, I have not. There is another viewer that posted some pictures from the 100 to 400 lens on my forum that you can check out. And they look really good. I mean, I tried to take some pictures with my 75 to 300 again yesterday. Let me show you those. I don't know, maybe something's wrong with my lens, but I'm not liking it. I used to get decent shots with it, but I don't know what's happened these last this year and last year. I haven't been able to get decent shots. Where's my... Here. Let me show you a shot I did yesterday. I mean, missing focus is one thing, which I missed a lot of focus, but I was doing a lot of test shots yesterday with the 75 to 300. Let me show you. I mean, like this one here. This is at 300mm. Oops, let me pull up the EXIF data and stuff for you. EM5 Mark II with a 75 to 300 ISO 200, 1/250th of a second. So yeah, the shutter speed's a little bit slow for this focal length, but you can see that is not great. I'm not happy with that. But let me show you one that's really disappointing. Like this one is also 1/250th of a second. You can see that's motion blur. That's not because I missed focus, but that's motion blur. And if I back out, the framing is not that bad. I've cropped in like that before, as you guys know, and not had any issues. So I think, so I was like, okay, the shutter speed's slow. So what did I do? Further down, I decided to, I cranked up the ISO a little bit. No, I did not. What? I thought I'd tried a higher ISO later. Probably not. Now this one looks all right, right? But I'm still at the 1/250th of a second shutter speed, wide open at ISO 200. you know, I don't know. Let me show you another one that was really bad though. That should not have been. This dragonfly, right? So here I'm at 234 millimeters, 1/500th of a second. So there really shouldn't be any motion blur. But when I punch in, there's no detail. You know, it looks like there's motion blur, but I feel like this is more of the lens is, it looks like diffraction, but I'm wide open, so it's not diffraction. But the image is soft and not clear. So I took another picture, and this one looks a little bit like I misfocus actually. But the dragonfly wasn't that far away, right? Let that render. But again, I'm at 1/500th of a second. Oh, it was frustrating. And then here's another shot. You know, you can see this is a 1-to-1 zoom, right? But these are horrific. What's this one? 1/250. I mean, it's just constant either motion blur or some diffraction look. Even at higher shutter speeds. Let me see where's the butterfly I took, or moth. I mean, this is 1/500th of a second, and it just looks soft to me. Where's the other one? I had another one that was pretty, like, I thought would have been an awesome shot, but yeah, this one. Look at this beautiful, like, blue little tiny butterfly here. And it looks like this one I just misfocused, because it focused here instead of here. It's really frustrating though. I'm going to take the lens out a few more times and really try and figure out what I'm doing wrong, because like with most things in photography, you know, it's 90% skill and 10% the gear, I think. And I'm just anyway. So yeah, before I buy a 400 millimeter lens, I need to get good with a 300, right? That's why I'm taking it out, because I'm thinking about the 100 to 400. But if I can't shoot with the 75 to 300, why would I buy 100 to 400? You see where I'm kind of going with that? It's like, so once I get my skill set up to a point to where I can use a lens like that effectively, then I will more seriously consider buying it. But as it is now, yeah, it would be just money wasted for me the way it is now. Yeah, Jeff is saying get the 300 Pro, right? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. It's a toss-up between the 300 Pro and the 100 to 400. Because I like the zoomability of a 100 to 400, but I think I would much prefer the sharpness of a 300 f4 Pro. But we're still probably, I'm looking at maybe springtime buying either of those lenses. Because there's almost no point to buy a long lens in the winter time, because it's just, you don't get enough light, at least not here. But maybe in the springtime. And oh, says Maine has problems with Hoya UV filters. Why? Oh, Robin is saying that was possibly shutter shock. Yes, I did. I was in regular shutter mode on some of those turtle pictures, and then I switched over to anti-shock, and then I switched over to silent mode. If I go into workspace, it'll tell me which is which. Yeah, that's what I thought, right? Was maybe some shutter shock, right? So let me see. This shot was anti-shock mode, and it came out okay. Let me look at some of the first ones. I know the very first ones were shutter shock, probably. So this was single. You guys can't see any of this. See, like, this is if you look at the very bottom of this little box here, it tells me drive mode single frame. So I was not in anti-shock mode. And you can see this was very likely, it could have been shutter shock or motion blur, but either way, it's a mess, right? And then when did I pick up on that idea? Let's see. This is also single frame. Single frame. Let's see, this single frame came out, oh, duh. Yeah, I did figure that out while I was out in the field. I said, you know, I'm in single frame. Let me put this in anti-shock. So the first one that got semi-clear, well, this one is also single frame. This is the one I tried 1/1000th of a second, though, if you see my shutter speed. But I had to crank the ISO to 1600. So I got rid of the shutter shock just by using a faster shutter speed. But let me see, I did, yeah, here I switched over to anti-shock, so it did improve. Yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot I was doing that, but you're right, Robin. I did switch over to shutter, anti-shock shutter. And then, oh, this one I did silent. So this one I did anti-shock, and it was fine. Then this frame here, I switched over to silent. So it did make a difference, and I shot like that for the rest of the photo walk, because these are the early on shots that I did, right? I was trying to vlog, but I forgot my microphones, of course. Well, I didn't forget the microphone, I forgot the little wire. Technical difficulty to hook it to my camera. Oh, what a bad day though, photography wise. I was trying, I mean, like this shot here, right? This one is actually, I'm at 300 millimeters, right? Yeah, this one is actually pretty decent. And I'm at 1/250th of a second, and I'm in, let me see what drive mode, silent mode. But see, I'm zoomed in at 300 millimeters, and then when I punch in 1:1, I can see the chain link fence. I'm happy with this image. If I can get this kind of image quality every time out of this lens, I would be so happy. So like I said, I don't think it's the lens, it's me. Something I'm doing wrong. So one was, yeah, I was shooting in regular shutter mode, not anti-shock or silent. But I'm still doing something else wrong. Either it's how I'm holding the camera or whatever. You know, it was very frustrating for me yesterday. So, okay. Yeah, Casper says I had the same problem with the 75 to 300. Oh, okay, Deb. We'll see you later. You're gonna apologize for for the photo editing live stream. Deb usually submits things. But yeah, Robin, it was definitely anti-shock helped with and fixed the double image blur. But then further down, I'm not so sure. Like, what was that dragon? The dragonfly picture was definitely shutter shock too. Then let me look at it. This was, yeah, these were shutter shock too. So this I think this image was definitely shutter shock. Oh, Rob. Oh, you guys can't see that. This one. This was shutter shock. Oh, live and learn, right? That's why I watch Robin's channel, Peter's channel, Jimmy, everyone. I learn things, right, as well. And when he comes on the stream, he helps me out. Just like a lot of you. A lot of you guys help me out a lot as well. So I appreciate that. Camlan, not Laowa. I have no experience with Camlan or Laowa. And Pro Race, how are you? Good to see you. So yeah, I've been kind of jibber jabbering about what a terrible photographer I am, especially with that 75 to 300. Oh my God. But that's why I always say, you know, as your skill set improves, the less the gear matters, right? And I wanted to improve my skill set using a long lens before I go out and just buy a long lens or an expensive long lens. And I've told people in the past, you know, especially people starting in photography, if you're not sure that you need a particular lens, don't buy it. Practice with your kit lens at that focal length. Because your kit lens covers, you know, normally 14 to 42 millimeters, and I get questions, oh, should I buy the 25 millimeter prime, or should I buy the 45 millimeter prime, or the 12, you know, whatever prime lens? And I'm like, well, practice using that focal length, or see if you shoot at that focal length a lot, and then you'll know if you want to get which prime you want to get, if any. You know, primes are really good for low light in general, so if you're always shooting in low light, it's kind of a no-brainer that you need to get a prime to get that extra stop or 2 stops of light into the camera. But if you're talking about focal length and you're not sure which focal length to get, practice that focal length with your kit lens and see if, you know, you're comfortable with that focal length or like to shoot at that focal length. And in my case, you know, I'm thinking about the 300 millimeter or the 100 to 400. So I went out and practiced with my little kit, 75 to 300, to see if I can work with that, you know, improve my skill set there. So, has anyone news about the 100 millimeter Pro macro, waiting for it to be released? So the 60 macro is getting cheaper. Yeah, I should get a 60 macro. I mean, every time I see images from that lens, they're really amazing. But I just don't do a lot of macro. So, and I have a 75 millimeter that's pretty close to 60, and as far as focal length, I don't see a need to buy it. I'll just use my extension tubes whenever I want to do macro. I'd rather save up money for that 300. They have it they have a refurb right now for like $2,100, which pretty attractive. I can't believe how the price has gone up so much. But if I can get a 20% off sale on top of the $2,100, I could get that lens for potentially $1,700. But in that case, but I never see that 300 millimeter f4 Pro at the same time as a 20% discount, right, on their site. I shop, you know, getolympus.com for deals. And Sephirinus says, I asked the question on the forum for the EM5 Mark III, but I think I solved the answer. It appears Olympus doesn't have zebras for showing overexposed areas on the screen. I really enjoy on my G9. Yeah, it doesn't have it. It has the highlight shadow kind of blinky thing, but it's not the same as zebras, right? And you could always I mean, it's if it's a static scene, you don't really need zebras. You can just kind of spot meter the scene and then bracket the shot if it's like a static scene. If it's a moving scene, then zebras help because you can quickly analyze the scene as it's changing and make adjustments accordingly. But static scenes, there's really no need for zebra, in my opinion. The zebras only show you the highlights. So let's say you want to make adjustments for highlights. You don't know if you're crushing the shadows or not. And if you don't care about that, that's fine. But a lot of times in a static photo, you really want to capture both, right? Highlights and shadows. So it's helpful to see the highlight shadow blinkies to get a feel for when you start clipping the shadows when you're trying to save the highlights. But yeah, I get it. You know, scene to scene, when scenes are changing a lot, and all you care about are the highlights, zebras are a lot are a lot nicer to use. A lot easier to see on the back of the screen than the blinkies. The blinkies, sometimes you don't, it just starts blocking things, or it's a very distracting way of looking at a scene, right? So I get that. I get that. And Oliver says, I have an EM1 Mark III. How do I set the ISO so it does not go below a certain point? You do that in the... See, I have my M1 Mark III here. Pardon the Velcro sound here. I had to bring my bag in from the car because of my technical issues this morning with the battery. Oh, let's see. I'll just show you on the menu. And with any luck, this will just... So you go into the menu, and you want to go into menu E right here. Let's see, there's E, yeah, E1 works. And you go into, let's see, is it auto set? Yeah, right here, auto set. And then you can set the upper limit and the lower limit. 6400 is the maximum upper limit, and then the lower limit, the minimum is 200 ISO. So I can say, you know, stay between 1600 and 3200. So stay within one stop on the ISO, for example, in this case. And there you go. So hopefully that answered your question, Oliver. Yeah, I need to get some coffee. I'm dying here. Time is it? 7. If I don't get a coffee soon, the headache starts to set in, right? The withdrawal symptoms. But thank you, Photospark, or Photon Spark. That's an interesting username, Photon Spark. I'm still not convinced that light is made up of photons, you know, like a particle. I'm more of a field theory type guy. In my humble opinion, the 300mm Pro fixed focal length prime lens is awesome, but it will leave you wanting a zoom. Same as the 60mm Pro for other than macro work. Stick to pro zooms. Yeah, the 150 to 400, or I'm sorry, the 40 to 150 is very attractive too. I'm really torn. I really want to get a longer, if I get a pro lens, it'll be one of the longer focal lengths. That's when it really makes a difference, right? I guess they all do, but yeah, I'm a little torn. I'd have to see, because I don't want to buy a 100 to 400 and then say, well, they're a little better than the 75 to 300. It's hard to say because I'm not that good with the 75 to 300 yet. Oh, get a coffee. You can wait. I appreciate that. I'll get one before the next stream starts in about 30 minutes or so. I'll just drink this water for now. Okay, so what else is happening? So I did the, a lot of you are here on the Sunday stream, so, but I showed some video work I was trying to work on someone had asked me, I missed a couple of questions on the last stream, but somebody had asked me what cameras do I use for the video work in my real estate and for the streaming. And for the streaming, I use the EM1 Mark II, and right now I change lenses time to time because sometimes I need the lens that I use for streaming. But basically, before I change to this new format where I'm sitting back from the camera, I was using the 12mm f2 or the 12 millimeters on the f2.8 Pro lens, right? The 12 to 40 Pro. But now I'm using the 25mm f1.8 lens because I can set the camera further back, and this gives me some more room so you guys can see my arms and everything, and I'm not all, you know, distorted from having the camera right here this close to me, and it's really improved my setup. And like I said, in the last stream, I gave a little tour of my new studio, or this room. You know, we call it a studio just for the sake of calling it a studio, but it's just one of the rooms in my house that I wasn't using for anything else. Just an empty room. It's tiny though. It's only like 8 feet by 8 feet, so it's not very big, but it's good enough. And but yeah, that was the question. And for my real estate work, I was using the EM1 Mark III in that video that I showed last week. But sometimes I use this. I use this one time to time. This is the DJI Osmo. Sometimes I use this for the video work because it's, you know, it has its own built-in gimbal, and I can put this on a slider with the gimbal, right? And I can get some interesting shots using this because the gimbal's built right in, and it's not like super heavy like those big crane gimbal things, right? Very small, compact, lightweight. And if the lighting is good, I can use this with no problem. Like some of the outdoor shots where I get exteriors of the building, and then a little bit on the indoor shots, like in the lobby is usually good because the lobby usually is in the front with lots of light coming in. And then some indoor shots, if the lighting is consistent. If the white balance is way off, it's a problem. Or if the lighting is a little bit low, then I use the Micro Four Thirds camera, whatever one. I normally bring the M1 Mark III now, and that'll help me with the low light. But the problem I have with using the M1 Mark III or any any camera on a slider is it just adds a lot more weight. But the biggest problem is getting everything lined up straight, right? Because it doesn't have its own automatic gimbal. So when I'm trying to do panning shots or sliding shots, I have to get the angle completely straight, you know, on the slider before I start filming. You know, you can adjust slightly in post-processing, but with this on a gimbal, you know, this DJI, I just double click it and it automatically levels. And no matter what angle I move this thing at, it stays level. Whereas, as you know, with a camera, I have to get it leveled first, and then I do the slider action stuff. It takes twice as long to get this set up to take a shot as it does, say, something on a gimbal like this. But this one I can only really use in really good lighting, consistent lighting. Whereas this one I can use in lower light for the better ISO performance, and a little bit on the color. White balance is still an issue sometimes, and it doesn't matter if it's, you know, if it shoots raw video, which it doesn't, but even if it did, it would still be an issue dealing with multiple white balance sources. You just kind of have to pick one, which I do before I start shooting. And let's see, ProRace says, here in Finland, the M1 Mark II is now on offer. It costs around 1,300 and comes with a 17. Yeah, that's a killer deal. If you get a pro lens with the M1 Mark II, those are $1,000 lenses, man. That's crazy. I would probably get, for me personally, I'd get the 17 Pro just because that's a focal length I really like. But probably a lot of people will go for the 45 Pro. And yeah, $1 million is asking, what is my favorite prime? It's the 17mm prime. That's my favorite lens. Yeah, by far. I just like that focal length. You know what's funny is though, until I bought it, I didn't think I would need it or use it or like it, the 17mm. And then after I bought it, I'm like, wow, this is terrific focal length. I don't know why I've avoided it for so long. Because even on my Nikon, that's a 35 millimeter equivalent. I didn't really shoot with 35 millimeter much. I typically shot at 50 or 100. I had other lenses, right? Usually with my Nikon, I have my 70 to 200 lens on it, but ever since getting it, so the typical, I like to do street photography. So that's what I primarily shoot with it, and it turns out 17 is a very, very comfortable focal length for me to do street photography. And Michael Hawkins, how are you? Says, hi Rob, great show. Recently bought the Camlan 50 f1.1 Mark 1 version. For me, it is all okay with nice separation. Have you tried one? I have not tried one. Oh, Elaine, how are you? A long time no see. Always good to see you though, Elaine. I haven't seen you in a long time. I mean, you'll pop in for 2 seconds, maybe once a couple of weeks ago, and then you said you had a phone call from your girlfriend or something, or from your friend, I should say. I don't know if it was a girlfriend or not. But yeah, that's and thank you, Oliver. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the super chat. I guess you were asking about the ISO. Yeah. Okay, good. So I guess I answered your question. Yeah, well, we got about 15, 20 minutes left in the stream today, give or take. You ditched a friend. I told you, you should have recorded some phone conversations you had with them, because you could start your own YouTube channel with that, I bet. And then you guys would be business partners now, because I'm sure you'd get like 1 million hits on that. Knowing a little bit about you, just from the pictures that you submit to me, tells me you're a wild person from the images I see in the live streams. Barking mad. See, that makes even better content, right? That's too bad though. It's never fun to lose a friend though, right? Even if you weren't that crazy about them. I don't like to lose friends, A real wild child. But I've talked about it before. There's people that for whatever reason just get on my nerves, and it's got nothing to do with them. It's always something that bothers me. It's me, right? I'm the one with the problem. But at the same time, I don't want to lose them as a friend, right? I'm good for about 30 minutes, and then I gotta go. But something I have to work on. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to lose a friend. I know. Oh, I didn't say it wasn't me. It was all me. It always is. It's so true when they say, and it's very cliche, but when you have a problem, you need to look at yourself, look at the person in the mirror and see what the problem is, and find the problem. It's usually because it's never about the actual thing going on or person. It's always about how you react, right? And I find that truer and truer and truer as I get older. That a lot of times what happens in your life that causes stress is usually internal. It's how you react to it that's causing the stress more so than the thing itself. Clearly there's things that happen in life that you absolutely have no control over. Like the death of a loved one or somebody close to you is very difficult to deal with. I'm not talking about those kind of issues. I'm talking about more of the struggles in life that we face, that we can overcome if we really take a look at ourselves and how we're reacting to it and what we can do differently. Oh, anyway, this is not a psychology channel, right? This is photography. And Brian says, while we have two experts on the channel, I'm a bit confused, re the 12 to 100 Pro IS, as I can't use the IBIS separately from the lens IS, as it's either both on or both off, switched at the lens. I don't have that lens, so I can't speak to that either, unfortunately. The way I understand it, it looks like Robin took off, or has left the building, so to speak. But Robin is really the expert on image stabilization between lenses and camera bodies. He has a very good feel for what happens between the camera and the body, the camera and the lens. The way I understand it, though, is you usually don't have much control. You turn them both on or both off, but the camera will decide which one it's going to use, or use both at the same time. It's all kind of automated, is what I understand about IBIS on Olympus cameras. So it makes sense that you can only really turn them both on or both off versus being able to select one. But again, Robin Wong's more of the expert on that part of it. And hi Rob, do you use preferred brand of threaded ND filters? Not too expensive. Yes. Let me just look at my shopping cart. I bought some recently that I really liked. I think it's K&F, but let me look. Let me just double check. I mean, I have the filters over there, but let me just look at my shopping cart, then I can show everybody. Where's... Oh, here it is, shop. My orders. Now, if you're talking about fixed ND filters, okay, here are the ones that I bought. Let me see if I can get to that screen. This one, yeah. I'll zoom in so you can see it. So this is a 10-stop ND filter from K&F, and this it's not showing the pricing I paid for, but this is a good one. ND lens filter with multi-resistant nano coating. This is another 10-stop ND filter. Apparently I bought two of these, a 62mm and a 62. And this is a really good variable ND filter. You need to get the No X Spot Nano Ultra Slim Weather. So you see where it says No X Spot? That's the important part of a variable ND filter, because they sell, K&F sells a lot of different ND filters, and they got cheap ones. Don't buy the cheapest one. This one here is about $50. This one with the No X Spot Nanotech. And then these, let me click on this thing. This was $30. This is a 10-stop. I was pretty happy with this, and you can get them in various focal lengths and stuff. So that's what I recommend. Did everybody see that? I hope. Hopefully Photon Spark, the screen was up that was showing the filters. I hope I wasn't really paying attention, but if I need to show you that screen, let me see. It was yeah, these filters here. Why? Let me go back. Yeah, these filters here. Okay, let me go back to the stream. Sorry, but I'll come back to this if you need me to, Photon. I wasn't paying attention. I have to look at 3 different screens here. uh, oh, you're funny, Elaine. You're quite mirrorless. And Lysippus says, I purchased a 40-150 f2.8 Pro. Color accuracy with my tiny M5 Mark III is amazing. I haven't used the tripod attachment yet. Ordered a cover ring to protect the tripod socket. Oh, okay. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I think the 40-150 Pro, I won't have any issues, you know, with focal length. But if I get the teleconverter with it, you know, I'm a little torn. And then Elaine says, did you ever find a clue as to why my cord? No, because if your cord is connected, I was able to update even an older camera than yours. I was able to update. Dang it. You'd think I'd stop dropping stuff, right? It was just my EM10. This has been dropped a billion times. But this old E330 I was able to update, and this camera came out in 2006. It was on the original firmware when I got it. And I did that just about a week ago. So I put the, you know, when I put the cable in, I put it in storage mode, right? Because that little menu pops up on the screen. And then once I was in storage mode, I went to Olympus Workspace, did camera update, and it worked just fine. So you told me you were able to get into storage mode with your camera, but then when you went into Workspace, it's grayed out. I don't know why it would be grayed out. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry. If, you know, all I can say is maybe try someone else's computer, because on one of my laptops, I can't get it to update firmware at all, any of my cameras. For a different issue. It's not because it's grayed out, but it'll start to update then freeze, which scared me to death the first time. Fortunately, nothing happened. But that's all I can recommend is try a different computer. And Verana, hello. Do I have any thoughts on the A7C? No, not really. Like I said, most full frame cameras are not in my radar. I mean, the Panasonic S5 did catch my attention a little bit, but the Panasonic S5 looked kind of interesting because I like the look of the build of that camera. And I'm very vain in that respect. I have to like how the camera looks before I really would drop any money on it or use it. That's part of it. I really like how the S5 looks. And then when you look at all the features, it has everything I'd possibly want. Particularly on the video side, I might need to get a full frame camera for the video side, just because a lot of times I am shooting in relatively low light, doing indoor interior stuff, and noise has been an issue time to time. Not so much that I can't get it cleaned up in post enough that, you know, I can still get paid for it, but it'd be nice not to have to, you know, maybe step up my game a little bit on the video side when I do some interior work. I'll think about it later. Maybe if there's a really good deal on an S5, because, you know, right now it's full price, right? If it comes out with a really good deal, maybe $400 or $500 off, I might pick one up and just get one or two lenses for it, and that would be it. Because you know how full frame lenses are, they're big honking lenses, right? But the A7C, I don't know, I'd have to wait till it came out. I don't like my Sony NEX that I have at all. Totally don't like it. So I don't know why I would like the A7C if it's going to be kind of the same body style. Cosmetically, I don't like it. Ergonomically, I don't like it. Hold on, my neighbors. If you guys know me or have been on my channel a while, you know how noisy it is around my house. Between my neighbor running a construction business, and he can probably hear me, right? But I never complained though. He does apologize time to time because of the noise. But I say, you know, you're running your own business. I totally respect that. You do what you got to do. You know, I'll just wait. But it makes a lot of times trying to do videos or tutorials here at my house difficult because I have to go outside. Like I went out the day before yesterday and I don't know what they were doing for about 2 hours, but they were sawing something that was metal, cutting through pipes or something. And it was just, you can imagine cutting pipes, right? With a chainsaw or whatever they were using, how loud that is. So even in my house, I was like, oh my God, you know, but uh, it was just amazing when I went out to the park yesterday on a photo walk, how quiet it was relative to even my own house and my own backyard. So one of these days I'm going to move where it's nice. You know, I'm going to get somewhere in the mountains where it's quiet. Oh, I just can't take all this noise. Okay. Let's see what's going on. Oh, you guys saw the ND filter screen. Good. Oh, and John, you'd say, I think you sent me an email last night or this morning early about my live stream being at 8:30 p.m. and it should have been 8:30 a.m. So I did change it this morning. I saw your email about 2 o'clock in the morning because I woke up for whatever reason and just said, let me check my email while I'm up. And there it was. Let's see. I'm late to the show, but I got the Olympus email announcing the Mzuiko 150 to 450 f4.5. Oh, really? Scheduled to release the winter of 2020. Okay. Yeah, that lens is going to be way out of my price range, though. Hey, Roberta, how are you? And David says, I wasn't able to connect my PC to my camera for the firmware update and had to use a Mac. There's already been an update on the M1 Mark III for the 100 to 400 to have used it. Focus, yeah, to use it with focus stacking. Yeah, I got one laptop like that. It works fine on my other two laptops, but the one, for some reason, I couldn't get it to update firmware. It's weird. It's probably something Windows related, not hardware related, but Elaine says, I didn't like my NEX either. And the Mark Wolf says, the only problem with these full-frame mirrorless is that they are all ugly. If only Olympus and Pentax designed them. I don't know. I like the S5. It's very compact and beefy looking and looks solid. You know, I kind of I miss the top plate LCD on most of the smaller cameras, but I thought it was a good looking camera. Oh, excuse me. Long shot question from Roberto, but when I adjust sliders in Workspace and Luminar, the image doesn't update until I magnify in or out. Yes, there's a couple of settings in Workspace. I don't know about Luminar. Let me pull up my terrible image here of the dragonfly. But if you go into, let me look where it is. Under the Photos menu, right down here at the very bottom, there's something that says Display Raw Images with Priority on Speed. So I just toggled that. Now you see there's a little check mark next to it. So make sure that's checked on or off. Try both and see if that helps. I think checked on works better than off, but I haven't really tested that, but I know that's one thing that could be causing it. And then under the Tools menu and Options, up here is probably under Basic or, oh, down here at the bottom again, Graphical Processing Unit. Make sure you have this little box checked, and then sometimes you have a choice between different cards. You know, choose the discrete graphic cards if you have one. because it'll tell you the current. So check those two things. That might make a difference. So let's say I make a change to the slider. Let's drop the exposure comp. Yeah, it updated pretty quickly, actually. Let's do some dehaze. Yeah, it seems to be working. So try that, and that's with the checkbox on, right? Under photos. If I turn this off, let's go to a different image. Yeah, see the little icon up here? It's taking a little longer. So I think what you want to do is actually have that checkbox off, like I had it originally. If I turn the checkbox on, it does seem to... It's taking longer with it off. Well, those are two checkboxes. I'm sorry I can't give you a more definitive answer, but those are the two things I look for when I'm working on it. Your mileage may vary is all I can say. And yes, Luminar probably also has similar things to pick graphic cards. Okay, yeah, check those couple things. You can also, if you're using Windows, you can also do this. Let me see. You can go into, oops, wrong button. You go here and go into your settings, right? Go into graphic settings and select this. You can select which images, you can select what apps you want to use. So like I don't see that I added whatchamacallit, Olympus workspace. So what I can do is browse and here's Olympus. Well, that's Olympus viewer. Where's Olympus workspace? Program files. Go to Olympus, the Kodak. Maybe it's under W, workspace. Dang it, where is it? I look in here. Olympus, workspace. Here it is. So I can select it here. And then options and select high performance. Save that. So now you can see it says high performance here. So you can also try that. So, you know, if you use Windows, or anybody using Windows, you can add applications to the graphics settings and force Windows to use a particular graphics card. And John softly says, best looking camera. Yeah, the Leica 3C and the Pen F. Yeah, they look pretty similar too, don't they? The Leica 3C, it's a really nice camera. I agree. I was thinking about buying maybe a German, a Russian knockoff of the Leica 3C, because you can get those for like 50 bucks, right? And just have it as a shelf piece on my mantle, because they really are beautiful cameras, right? Let me see if I can find one. A Leica, just for people who are not familiar with it. Yeah, these guys here, right? That's the 3F. Here's a 3C. You can see it's, yeah, it's a, if you're into kind of vintage looking cameras, this is one of the best. And clearly the resemblance to the Pen F, you know, there's clearly a resemblance there, right? To the Pen F. But yeah, look at these. These are really nice looking cameras. What is this thing selling for? Let's see. See the sold price. Oh my God. Anyway, they're expensive. What does it say? 9,000 euros? Yeah. You know what I mean? And then there's a Russian knockoff, right? Russian. You spell Russian. I-A-N, right? Yeah, here's the Russian knockoff. It's like $95. um, kind of similar. I've seen better ones though. But yeah, there you go. Okay. I need to get ready for my next stream. So it's where I do photo editing live, where you submit your images in and we edit them live on YouTube. And then also I usually put an image out of one of mine that you can edit. And I always like to see what you guys do. And I'm working on a new thing where we can do sort of a uh, where you guys submit your images out and then everybody edits that one picture. So I think that might be a separate thing altogether. Might be hard to do. I don't know. I like I said, I'm still trying to think of the logistics of that. But as always, I really appreciate everyone coming in today and joining me on a photo chat. Hopefully, I was able to answer some questions and help you guys out a little bit. But um, thanks again for joining me today, and we'll see you guys back on Thursday. And don't forget, tomorrow I'll be on Peter Forsgaard channel at 8 a.m. My time. So that's probably like noon or 1 o'clock thereabouts, in London or UK, and then even later in like Australia in that time zone. But good to see you back, Elaine. Good to see everybody here, and I'll catch up with you again on tomorrow morning.